Welcome to Talking with the Experts. This is where we discuss great ideas to take your business to the next level. How do we know these ideas work? Well, it's because we're talking with business owners who are using these ideas. Business owners who have years of experience and expertise. All things business by business owners for business owners. And now, here is your host, Rose Davidson.
In episode 424, Ginn discusses with us how we should prepare ourselves for the unexpected in business and in our personal life.
I could walk into 10 different clients' houses and say, where's your insurance policies? That would include travel insurance or life insurance or car insurance or house insurance. Like, where are your insurance policies? And some of it's over there, and some of it's over there, and some of it's in the drawer in the kitchen. You know, it's all over the place. So I'm kind of like your assistant who says, okay, here's all your insurance policies. What do you have? Get them out. Figure out what it is you have. Here's how, and we do webinars and we have group sessions where people can just ask different things and we're learning from each other as well. Other clients are learning from your question of, well, how do I read this? And what does this mean? And so
Talking with the Experts.
Hi, I'm Rose Davidson from Talking with the Experts. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Global Glamping Charities for their valued support. Global Glamping Charities, solving homelessness in all its forms. Reach out to them at globalglamping.org. Do you love your podcast and dislike the editing and uploading to the various platforms? Would you like to spend this time with your family and friends or work on your business? Podcast editing doesn't have to be a chore. Talking with the Experts partners with podcasters who need help with audio and content editing. If you'd like to know more, contact me, Rose Davidson, using the link showing now or send me a private message. Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. I'm your host, Rose Davidson from rosedavidson.com. Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners. You can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. Today, my guest is Ginn. I'm not quite sure. I'll ask her in a minute. And what Tina does is it's how quickly sometimes things change, and you know, whether it can be in your personal life, your business life, something really unexpected can happen to you. So we're going to talk about having a bit of a backup plan because it's really important. I mean, a lot of us don't have a backup plan. We just go from A to A and don't really have an A, B, C or D to go to. So welcome, Tina. Thank you for joining me. And I look forward to listening to how we can all get ourselves a backup plan.
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on here, Rose. I can't believe it. It's exciting and powerful all in one.
I'm so pleased.
Yeah, and it's Ginn. I've been called worse, so it's all good.
Okay, thank you for that. Now tell me, a lot of us, when we have our business, we, just power through and do all the business and do everything that we need to do. And then something blows up in our face and we think, oh my God, what am I going to do now? Because we haven't formulated ourselves a backup plan. So how can we do that?
Yes, it's so very important because we think we're Superman. I always say this in my shows all the time. And Mike Tyson says, we all think we have a plan until we get punched in the face. And that's very true. I think the majority of people think that they're Superman, so it's not really an urgent matter, but it is because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You don't know driving home from getting groceries that you might not make it home. It's all of these things. And that's why I created it from scratch. And I created it because It was very powerful. I went to a friend called me, her husband called me one day a few years ago. And he said, just taking Carol into the hospital for some tests because she has this cough she can't get rid of. I said, sure. I said, that's no problem. Just let me know if you need me. He says, well, I'll probably need you later on today to pick her up and bring her back, because they had a small business. They had a little dollar store in a little town, a little, brick and mortar store. And so I get a call later on that day and said she's not coming home yet. She has to stay in for more tests. So he calls me the next day and he said she's not coming home.
Oh.
She has to stay in the hospital. And she has stage 4 lung cancer.
Oh, dear oh me.
She never smoked a day in her life. She just turned 60 and she had this cough that she couldn't get rid of. And after the pandemic, how many people have we been around that have coughs? You just don't think anything of it, really, because everybody gets that darn cough that we all talk about with COVID. So I continued to go and see her a couple times a week, and I would be so frightened because she was deteriorating so quickly after chemo and radiation treatment. And she only lasted 6 weeks. And can you believe it? Can you think of ever walking into an emergency ward and never, ever coming out of there again? It's just unfathomable. And I would go up in the elevator and the doors would open and I'd be so scared to think what she was going to look like that day, what she was going to be like, because she was just, every time I saw her from the first week to the next week, it was just crazy. And one day I took her out onto the patio and it was a beautiful sunny day. And I said, what is it that you want to do because you're stuck here? She said, Tina, I just want to see the birds. I want to see the blue sky. I want to feel the breeze on my face. And I just want to be here right now. I don't want to worry about anything. I don't want to worry about my accounts payables and my accounts receivables. I don't want to worry about if my husband knows what to do next, because he doesn't. We never talked about any of this stuff. We never thought this would ever happen. That, and he's bringing in all these books every time he comes to visit her, and she's supposed to, because you only have so much more time left. And I always say that in our podcast, and that's what made me create this backup plan app, because people get told by accountants, especially small business owners, you go and see your accountant and it's all very nice and well, but they don't talk to your lawyer. Your lawyer doesn't talk, your attorney doesn't talk to your accountant. There's not a middleman that says, okay, Tina, you need to, look after this now, or you need to organize this now, or ask the accountant these questions, because it will determine how you want to position something, whether or not you want to trust. Maybe you want to give the business up to a family member or a few family members. Maybe you want to put it into a trust. And I talk about this quite often because we don't talk enough about trust, and we don't talk enough about paperwork in general. Things that we don't know what we need to get in front of us, what we need to be able to tell that other person. You might be single, or you might be married, or you might be in a relationship with someone. So these are important things that you might not even pass away. You might be with COVID in the hospital and not be able to talk with oxygen tank in ICU, which happened thousands and thousands of people in the last 3 years. So it's all very important to know, where does someone pay your bills? How do they pay your bills? Just so that when they come out of the hospital, they actually have a house that they can come back to. How do who feeds the cat and the dog or the fish or whatever pets you have? Who is running your business when you're away? And you don't get a chance with a 5-minute evacuation notice like you do in a wildfire a lot of the times. You just have a car accident and you don't say, hold on a second, I want my 5-minute evacuation notice first. And then that way you can call somebody and say, okay, you got to do this, this, and this, and get this, and that's where this is, and blah, 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 blah. That's not how we do it. We need to have a middleman. We need to say, okay, here's all of the stuff you need to put together. Now go to the accountant of your choice and put this together. Tell them this is what you want. It's so empowering to know that you know what you want before you even go in to talk to somebody, because it's very complicated. But I try and break it down just to, modules. And the module, you just work on it at a time, and you just flick through it and find your documents that you need to find and put them together. And I have a little kit that I do webinars with, and it looks like this. And you put all your important stuff in it. Now, this isn't secure locked wise, but you can put it somewhere where it's locked up. It's not fireproof or waterproofed, but this is just an extra copy of the documents. This isn't your only copy. So that's why I get people to put it all together. So if there was an evacuation notice or an earthquake or whatever it might be, you have all your documents and everything you need for insurance purposes. For you've already done your photos around your house or in your business. You've taken pictures of your assets. You've taken pictures of any hobbies that you have, jewelry, tools. I have a guy that collects fire trucks. How does that family then look after those fire trucks? What happens when he dies and he has 6 fire trucks and lots of pieces of fire trucks out there in his yard, let's say? He has a big warehouse and it's just beautiful, by the way. But I mean, what does the woman do? What does the spouse do? She has no idea how to sell these. Does she want to sell them? Is that the right thing to do? How much do you get for them? Is she going to put it on Craigslist or whatever you sell it on and hope for the best? Or do you plan ahead of time and sit down and say, I want you to keep these fire trucks, or I want you to keep this one, but sell the rest. And this is who you would contact. This is the phone number. This is the address. This is the person that knows what they're talking about. So then it's no problem, because you're not left with holding the bag, so to speak, which I've had so many clients with husbands, mainly husbands that have extra toys and trucks and vehicles and trailers and sea-doos and, you name it, boats. And I mean, what does somebody do with all that stuff after? And it's so complicated after the fact. And so I felt it was really important because, I watched an old Walton's TV show before I created this. And I kind of put A and B together. And I remember seeing the one episode, and they took this brown paper and they put their important documents on it, and they rolled it all up tight, and they put a string around it. And they told their family members, this is where the important documents are, and they put them in the rafters in the attic. Well, yes, in a fire, that wouldn't be the greatest thing, but that's all they had back then, so they had a better way of putting all their stuff in one place than what we do now. I could walk into 10 different clients' houses and say, where's your insurance policies? That would include travel insurance or life insurance or car insurance or house insurance. Like, where are your insurance policies? And some of it's over there, and some of it's over there, and some of it's in the drawer in the kitchen. It's all over the place. So I'm kind of like your assistant who says, okay, here's all your insurance policies. What do you have? Get them out, figure out what it is you have. Here's how, and we do webinars and we have group sessions where people can just ask different things and we're learning from each other as well. Other clients are learning from your question of, well, how do I read this? And what does this mean? And so now you're also educating yourself on what you're actually paying for. And then I'll go to another module and we could work on like leaving a legacy. What do you want to do for leaving a legacy? Do you want to give little videos of yourself and messages? Do you want to write poems or play music? Or are you a great cook and you want to write down in handwritten recipes of yourselves to give back to the future generations? What is it that you want to do? And we do a webinar on that too. And it's a fun night because there's so many different ideas of all the things that you could do. Some of it is, I always talk about the three senses: the feeling, the touching, the smelling, and the seeing, because there's nothing greater than to see your grandmother's written recipe that you could frame or use in a book, or a song that your uncle sang. Or I remember sitting in a funeral home one time, and the friend of mine had died of a heart attack at age 54, and his girls were about 16 and 14 years old. And I thought, sitting in the pew at the church, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, their kids aren't going to know. His kids know who he is, but their kids that they have won't know who he is. And their kids won't know who he was. So I'm thinking to myself, how can we leave this legacy that we can pass down so we have something like this was Uncle John, and this is what he played this awesome music, or this is the poems he wrote, or this is the blog that he had, or whatever it might be. And I talk about small businesses a lot because a lot of times there's variations of small businesses. There might be blogs that somebody writes, or a podcast, or social media accounts, or you might be a creator and that's your type of revenue for your business. But nobody thinks of what happens if. Nobody gives that one little ounce of thought. They think, well, if they get sick with the flu, it's only a few days, it's not a big issue. But what happens if it's longer? Where are your clients going to go? And what avenue do you have set up for a plan B? Who is going to take over your blog? Who do you want to look after your business? Who's going to keep doing your marketing? Who do you have? Because a lot of these businesses that are social media activated, or physiotherapists, for example, they use their hands or they use their brain of marketing or their talents and skills. Who else can do that? But if you can prearrange somebody that you could do it for someone and they could do it for you if something happened, then you're not losing your clients and you're not losing your revenue from your business, because it's just going to snap and turn right into a different plan for them for that time being while you're down and out, whatever that reason might be, physically or sickness wise. So I talk about that, and I talk about blogs even, or podcasts, like who's going to keep this running if something happens to you? Is it just going to stop and the revenue might stop then too? Like, who do you want it passed down to? And these are all thoughts, and good thoughts to start having these conversations with your family about, which is another workshop that we have, is having a family conversation. Those are tough taboo topics that we talk about. Even my own parents don't like to talk about it. Even
we don't
dad.
like to think ourselves as being vulnerable, do we? Or
no,
or just mortal. We all think we're immortal, but we know obviously we're not. But it's Comes down to really succession planning, doesn't it? I mean,
Yes.
in business or in life, who's going to take over whatever and do. I mean, my kids already know if something happens to me, where to find all my documents, because they know that I'm really fussy about filing everything away. And I've got papers back from years and years and years, which I don't need to keep. And,
Yeah.
I'm having a bit of a clean out, but yeah. So, they're all aware of where to find all my documents and what my wishes are. And, so, and they're just conversations that we have openly, because, we talk about everything.
Yeah.
Where a lot of families don't talk about that because they just think, death is an ugly subject.
Yeah, because I said to my dad, I've never asked you, what do you want when you die? Like, what do you want to be buried or cremated, or what do you want with it afterwards? Like, what do you want? And his answer was, I don't know. Well, if you don't know, how am I supposed to know? And that's what causes a lot of disagreements with family members. There's 3 of us. And so somebody's going to say after the fact, after someone's passed away, well, he wanted this. No, he wanted that. And it just gets into one big mess.
Yeah. And you've got to make your wishes, clear to everybody, so that they are on the same page as what you are. And, I mean, you've already gone, so you're not going to know what they're going to do anyway. However, I think it's, part of the grieving process that you do the right thing by the deceased person. So
that's right.
Yeah. So I get that, but yeah, a lot of people, whilst they're, living and alive, they should make those plans known to family members especially. But then again, who's next in charge in your business and what's going to happen to your business. And because you don't talk to your management team about that. What happens if I die? Well, and they're the things that because they might be out of a job. So it's something that, it's worth having a conversation about.
Definitely.
Tina, where can people get a hold of this app?
It's on iTunes and Google Play. And it's currently right now only $7.99 to upload it.
Is that US dollars?
Yes.
Yep.
I will be changing that, though, because it will become a membership program where you pay by the year or by the month. And that's only because there's going to be a lot of add-ons, bonuses to the app, where you'll be able to, if you don't have a will, say, or if you don't have a current will, well, where do I go to get one? And it will have an option there for you to say, for an app to say, this is your area, here's your options of what's available for you.
Is this app only available in the US, or is it available globally?
Globally.
And what's the app called, Tina?
Your Backup Plan.
Okay. Right. And those webinars, where can people get access to those?
To join the Facebook group, Your Backup Plan app on Facebook, there's a VIP group that you can join, and we hold workshops and webinars on those free. And it's a great service because there's different topics that come up, and it interests different people at different times, because they might be going through, something with their aunt or their self or their mom or dad or something. So it triggers people to say, oh, I got to do this. I got to find out more about this. But what I've really tried to do is take out all of the research and questions that people have. And because you go to a financial advisor and you see this little tiny bit, then you go to an accountant and you see that little tiny bit, and then you go to an attorney and you see that little tiny bit. But nobody puts it all together. And nobody helps you really understand what it is that you do have. So that's where I've really tried to push to really create it, because I knew the grieving process was so very difficult after somebody dies, or the shock of it. And then you're incapable of thinking. How many times have you ever had or known somebody that's gone down to a funeral home after and held someone else's hand to go through to make decisions because they can't do it at that time? It's too hard. And literally they ask like, excuse me, 1,000 questions. 1,000 questions that you have no idea, probably 50% of them. So all of this stuff, all of these questions that you would be asked, all of this is all in the app. So there's nothing left for anybody to worry or think about, because you just flow through it like an assistant does. Says, here's the next part. Do you have this done? This you haven't done yet. You'll get notified. And there's so many exciting new additions being brought into the app next year. I'm really excited about that as well.
Oh, good.
Because I think, in grief, you just can't think. And afterwards, and let's say the people's stuff is a mess, or they didn't leave everything that they needed to, it's the best gift that you can leave your family or friends. It literally is, because if you can make that easy and smooth, then their grieving is easier.
Yeah, because they're not worried about all the other stuff that they really shouldn't be having to worry about in the first place.
Right.
Tina, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing, the journey of how, we can come up with our backup plan and make life easier for those that follow. So if you want to get the access to the app, it's called Your Backup Plan, and you can get that on iTunes and on Google Play. And chase up Your Backup Plan on Facebook and get in touch with Tina, and join her group and get some information on what you can do to help your loved ones or team or whatever get access to your plan. Tina, thank you so much, and I've enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for sharing with me today.
Thank you, Rose. Thank you so much, everybody.
You've been listening to Talking with the Experts, hosted by Rose Davidson. Make sure you have a look at our back catalogue over at talkingwiththeexperts.com, and be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any episode. We look forward to your company next time. Talking with the Experts.